I've done a lot to educate the public and law enforcement in recent years on the difference between sex trafficking and sex work. And it's more important now than ever that we understand the difference, because the misunderstanding of this whole issue has led us to ignore a lot of actual victims, as well as perpetuate a lot of problems that aren't actually solving anything. So I want people to understand some of the main differences, because of course there's overlap, right? Let's get one thing out of the way. There's a huge difference between consensually deciding to do something, which may lead to exploitation, but still, there's a big difference when the person never had a choice or no longer has a choice. So again, please listen, there is overlap. But these are two very distinct things that we need to understand. These are different bodies of water. Most advocacy groups and groups that call themselves anti-trafficking nonprofits really confuse the two, and that's not helping anyone. So again, we are misdirecting resources and funding that should be going to combat sex trafficking when we are confusing it with sex work. Sex workers will agree with me. There are a lot of reasons we need to keep it separate. Law enforcement will agree with me. There are a lot of differences in the two. I'll also say this, a lot of strangers on the internet and advocacy groups that are making a lot of money off their advocacy don't want me to tell you guys about the difference. So I'm gonna keep it simple for you guys so that the truth is undeniable, because truth is objective. Let's break it down very simply. Sex work, we are objectively talking about adults, okay? Never minors. Sex work is when adults choose to exchange sexual services for whatever form of compensation or payment. Sex trafficking is very different. Under US law, sex trafficking involves force, fraud, or coercion. Objectively, when we are talking about minors, they are not able to consent. There can definitely be overlap when an adult decides to exchange sexual services for compensation, and then exploitation occurs. However, the choice to enter sex work is a very different thing from a victim of sex trafficking that never consented, number one, and number two, never had a choice. So an adult who is actually being detained or is unable to leave because of things like substances and other types of threats or violence, there's a myriad of ways this can look. The main difference is consent. Now it gets even more complicated because there are many different forms of trafficking. It's generally not kidnapping or the stranger danger jumping out of an unmarked white van. Statistically, meaning based on what's reported, familial trafficking is actually the number one most reported, most common form of child trafficking in America. Familial trafficking, families and friends trafficking their own children. So it can be difficult to identify. There are so many reasons we need better education and training and very specific definitions for all of these things. Otherwise, we are ignoring the real victims while hassling women trying to make a living that are possibly trying to feed their family and might not have another option. So arresting them every week doesn't help anybody. And if law enforcement and investigators and judges don't understand the differences,